Hello, what's up? Cormando here. Welcome to my WWE Night of Champions 2015 review. Let's just get straight to it. I gotta say, it wasn't a great show. I haven't really seen many people's opinions of it, but I don't think it was anywhere near compared to SummerSlam. And I actually enjoyed SummerSlam. Loads of people hated SummerSlam, but I actually thought SummerSlam was one of the best overall pay-per-views I could ever seen for WWE anyway. But there was some good stuff, but a lot of very boring stuff, and a lot of the matches were not very good at all. But starting with the pre-show, they were actually outside of the arena this time, which was pretty different. And I thought, oh, it won't be live then, it'll be like the NXT takeovers, it'll be just, like taped beforehand. But I think it actually was live because the fans, they actually showed them later on and the fans was all gone, and Renee and that was still outside. So maybe they were actually out there. I don't know. But and they also had like the create a WWE Superstar Mattel thing. They had that like a life-size version of it, and people were saying, "Oh, it looks like the X Division thing from TNA, the Ultimate X." But there was a New Day video. Like they were doing the social media question answering thing, and Kofi's got these weird red things in his hair, and Xavier's got this like three like one there, and one there, painted red. Apparently it's some guy called Rufio or something. Never heard of him before. I looked it up when JBL and that was talking about it. I was like, oh yeah, okay. Never heard of the guy before. But moving on, we have what do you call it? The Cosmic Wasteland defeated Neville and the Lucha Dragons. 9 minutes 44. Very just a basic match, nothing really special about it. They did their like Neville did a backflip, and then the Lucha Dragons did like I think they did a front flip over the top. I can't remember. That was about the best moment of it. Then eventually Neville goes up top, but then Stardust shoves Victor into him, and then hits the Queen's crossbow for the win. And that was about it. Nothing really to say about it. That was about it. Oh, also the New Day thing was after this. I didn't realise that, but it was. Anywho's, moving on. I enjoy the pre-shows. I don't think I've said it before, but I do enjoy like Booker T, and that Booker T usually comes up with some pretty hilarious stuff. But moving on to the actual show now, and that match was 9 minutes 44, if you were wondering. We have Kevin Owens defeating Ryback for the Intercontinental Championship, 9 minutes 32. Again, a very basic match, nothing really happening. Owens was working on the arm most of the match, but very basic, not very interesting. There was one point where Kevin Owens had him in a like an arm bar type of thing, like similar to like the Crippler crossface, but just the arm. I think it's just called an arm bar. I don't know, but and then Ryback managed to pick him up like that, and it looked like he just had him because he didn't have his hands like right underneath him. He just had them like at that pretty much. If you can see that on his arm and his leg, and he just held him up. It was pretty impressive. But eventually Ryback scoops him up for the shell shock. Owens rakes the eyes and picks up the win. Just a very basic match, it just wasn't good at all. Like usually, like if like when Kevin Owens won the NXT title, it was an awesome moment, but this it just didn't seem like a big moment to me. And then Kevin Owens just sort of going nuts after the match, screaming and what have you. Next, I don't know if they announced it before or if this was the first time, because they showed it like 47 times throughout the entire pay-per-view, but Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker is announced for Hell in a Cell, in the Hell in a Cell match, as well as the Stone Cold podcast with Lesnar, which happened the week before that match, or the Raw before that match. The entire thing is called the Brock Lesnar Go to Hell Tour, and it's because when they first said it, I was like, what is he going to be appearing at more house shows or something? Because they showed like the Madison Square Garden thing against Big Show, then the podcast, and I was like, okay, and then Hell in a Cell, and I was like, oh my god, and they're billing it as like the final match between Taker and Lesnar, which I wonder if it actually will be. Who knows? Maybe. I hope they don't do it again at like a WrestleMania. Wonder if they will actually go for Taker Sting. I don't know, but yeah, it sounds somewhat interesting. I guess that maybe the other Hell in a Cell match will be maybe. Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. Um, don't want to spoil it for you unless if you're actually watching this review and you haven't actually seen the show. I don't know. Probably not, but we'll get to it eventually. Next, we have Dolph Ziggler defeating Rusev with Summer Bait. 30 minutes 47. Again, a very basic match. Just a complete opposite for me. Like SummerSlam, I just thought was awesome. I just thought almost every match was brilliant at SummerSlam, in my opinion. The only bad one was like the Divas one, but the rest was all really good. And this time, I don't know, just lackluster. Just didn't really enjoy it. But Ziggler hitting all his moves, Rusev hitting his moves, Rusev and his awesome facial expressions when he doesn't get the 2 count. At one point he thought he actually won and he was celebrating, and the ref's telling him no, and then he starts crying again. He's good, Rusev. I really like Rusev. In JBL, and that was saying, he went from being somebody who, I think it was maybe Booker T. I think it was Booker T. He said he wants to see Rusev being like dominant again and not losing all his matches or something. And I'm like, well, that's the booking, You booked him as the Beast, and then he faces John Cena, and now he has to cheat to win. That's just shit booking. It really is. And speaking with Cena, I hate how fucking JBL or anybody isn't allowed to say anything bad about Cena. Like, oh god, I was bloody thinking about it as well when I was watching the show, but like how Rollins, he starts going nuts about Rollins having to defend the title in 2 matches in a row, but what the fuck was it? I can't remember, but he's supposed to be the heel announcer who likes all the heels, and hate the faces, but he will not say anything bad about Cena. It's so ridiculous. It really is. I can't fucking remember what it was I wanted to say about it. But eventually, Ziggler win. There was one really good moment. It was Rusev took this DDT and he sold it like a fucking boss. He went up and he landed on not on his head, but he had it in like a handstand, and he was straight up for like a few seconds and then fell down. That was so awesome. That was really good. Eventually ends with the referee ejecting Summer because she's on the ropes, and then Ziggler gets shoved into the ropes, and she flippity flips in, and then the ref tells her to get out, and then eventually she throws one of her shoes up the. They like to throw shoes. She throws one of the shoes at the entrance, and then the other one she tries to throw at the ref. He ducks, hits Rusev, and then ziggity zaggity, and Ziggler wins. Summer looks on in shock, and Ziggler walks past her and gives her a smooch on the hand in his way, and she's sitting there crying, saying, "I don't know what happened" or some shit. I don't know. Next we see Nikki Bella warming up backstage. We'll get on a bit of a rant about that later. Just pisses me off. The hypocrisy, it really does. But moving on, we have next the Dudley Boys defeating the New Day by disqualification. 9 minutes 57. Probably one of the better matches of the night, just due to Xavier Woods and his epicness. Just love that guy. They had a promo before talking about their petition, and claiming they had an endorsement from President Obama and Bill Nye the Science Guy and somebody else, and they were all booing. But a good match, a decent match. And Xavier at one point played the freaking Rocky theme on the trombone, and then Kofi was, like boxing Bubba. It was awesome. That was so cool. And I think he did the Final Fantasy thing again. 'Cause I don't actually never played Final Fantasy, but I just seen somebody make there was like an article about it, and I was like, oh, is that what he was playing? Okay. But I love it. Like I said it in the predictions, but I love it when when they're doing this, the stomps, and he stomps along with them. Then he goes, I love it. I love that. And he was doing loads of different things. Really good. Just this is so gold. I just wish they would let more people have freedom with what they're doing, because clearly this is not. I don't think the stuff that he's saying is scripted. He's just being let loose with the stuff that he's saying when he's at ringside. The stuff he's coming out with. There's no way that's all scripted. That's just coming from him. I wish they would let more people freedom like that and let them do what they want. Clearly it works. They should give more people that opportunity. But there was a nasty, nasty moment in this match. Like, it was ridiculous. Big E does that splash on the apron. Well, Bubba was lying there, and Big E goes to do it, but instead of him actually landing on the apron, he just lands on Bubba's fucking face, and Bubba's face goes away fucking down. Fucking whiplash. I was like, what the fuck? Usually Big E just lands on the apron with him, but he just lands right on Bubba, and that messed him up for real. Like, he was definitely feeling that one the rest of the match. That was a stupid moment, like really stupid. Could have seriously hurt him. Eventually, Devon gets the hot tag and doing stiffs. They hit the 3D on Kofi and go for the pin, but then, like they did the reverse 3D on Big E, but then the 3D on Kofi, then Woods runs in and, disqualification. He just starts beating them down, and Big E's like, Woods, get the tables! And then he brings one in, the Dudleys fight back and chuck Kofi and Big E out, and Woods is like celebrating with the crowd, and he turns around and through the table. Dudley's stand tall as the music plays, and Woods remains laid out. And you could see Bubba holding his head and telling Devon about it. Like, he was hurt, like he was legit hurt from that. It was ridiculous. But yeah, it was a good match. Next, we have Charlotte defeating Nikki Bella for the Divas Championship by submission. 12 minutes 47. I hate the hypocrisy of WWE claiming to be a PG show, yet you got Nikki Bella with 90% of her ass out and those oversized porn star fake tits out. It's just like, what the fuck? Like, cover that up, I don't want to fucking see that. I want to see wrestling. I don't want to see that crap. It just annoys me, it really does. But again, not much of a match. It was just Nikki working on the arm the entire match. At one point she did the figure four on the was it the arm? Maybe it was the leg. I think it was the leg, yes. It was another match where somebody was working on the arm. She was working on the leg most of the time. Did the figure four on the ropes, on the post. Oh yeah, Charlotte, Alicia and Brie were pulling back on the ropes, but then Nikki yells at them for getting involved. Then Paige and Becky run over and take them out. Becky was looking hot with her, like people call it steampunk or something. I don't even know what that means, but she looks badass. She really does. And Paige was looking like a ferret as always. Eventually, not much happening. Nikki suplexes Charlotte into the... Oh yeah, she was suplexing Charlotte into the bottom rope a shit ton of times. Nikki goes to the second rope, but then Charlotte hits her with a spear. Charlotte applies the figure four and the figure eight and then wins. It was pretty much just Nikki nailing Charlotte the entire match, and then Charlotte comes back in with that, and that was it. It wasn't a great match. It was okay, but nothing to the caliber of any of the NXT Women's Championship matches. Not even close. After the match, Ric Flair comes down and is getting emotional, and they're They're both crying pretty good, as it says here. And they're doing some woos and doing the Nature Boy strut. And yeah, that was about it. It just didn't seem like just didn't seem like when she won. I was just like no reaction, you know. Uh, it just felt like it didn't really mean anything. Like I was reading there was like this wrestling wrap up thing on IGN, and the guy said it doesn't really mean anything now because Nikki's beating the record or something. But the record thing isn't really a problem. It's just the booking, and Nikki just shouldn't have been champion. Like I say it so many fucking times now, but Naomi should have been the champion. I really need to stop saying it. But Naomi should have been champion a long time ago. Nikki could have even won it back or something. I don't know, but Naomi should have been champion ages ago. Anywho's, JoJo's backstage speaking to Kevin Owens. She talks about controversy with the raking of the eyeballocks. He just shrugs it off and says he's not letting anyone ruin this for him. And he brags about how good he is and then walks away. We get another backstage segment with Flair and PCB celebrating, smooching and kissing and hugging and what have you. Flair talking about going out partying in H-Town and all this stuff. And that's about it. Moving on. Next match, we have the Wyatt family defeating Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Chris Jericho. 13 minutes, 5 seconds. When Jericho came out, I was like, oh, okay, cool. But, again, a very basic match, you know, just nothing great happening. There's nothing really to say about it. There was "You Still Got It" chants, even though he wasn't really doing anything to Jericho, that is. Nothing really to say. Eventually, Braun takes like 2 Superman punches and he's still standing. Then Ambrose comes off with a crossbody and that takes him down. And then Ambrose dives onto Harper. Also, fucking hell, you gotta respect Roman Reigns. He takes them super kicks from Luke Harper legit in the fucking face. Like, it looked ridiculous. It looked like it nailed him. It really hurt him. You could just see his head hitting back. It legit hit him. It had to hurt like fuck. Just ridiculous. Same with Cena. He takes the kicks from fucking Seth Rollins all the time, unprotected, no hands up, just legit taking it. You know, it's unnecessary, but I guess I'm just trying to make it look as real as possible. He even did that after breaking his beak on Raw. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, that was a sick moment. Definitely the sickest moment of the match when Reigns took that. But Reigns with a spear on Braun, and then he looks like he's gonna go for it again. And I thought, oh, looks like Jericho's maybe gonna like turn heel or something here. But then he just tagged in and hits the lion salt, but Braun kicks out. Reigns doesn't look happy. Wyatt take Reigns out. Then Braun blocks a codebreaker twice. Planting him on his face. Yeah, that finisher he does is kind of shitty. It kind of is. It's okay, but I don't know why they just don't do the Dominator, which is when he has him like where he normally has him, but then just down the way, and so he lands his face first. You know, that'd be so much better than just wah. It would be more dominant, which is the name of it. It would be. But he nails that move and then chokes him out, and I think he wins. The Wyatts leave together, and Bray asks if this is the war they wanted. Reigns and Ambrose look on as Jericho gets up. Fans chant Y2J. Jericho walks out of the ring and deliberately bumps into Ambrose. Fans boo. Ambrose and Reigns look on. I thought we were maybe going to get like a Reigns or that hitting him or Jericho hitting him, but no. Moving on, we have Seth Rollins backstage in his sexy white and gold gear. Speaking of Triple H, getting him hyped up, saying he's ready. Sheamus appears and says he's waiting and he's ready. Then we get on to the next match, the best match of the night by far. John Cena defeats Seth Rollins, which when it happened, I was like, oh my god, you gotta be fucking kidding me. But it was a good match. 60 minutes 1 seconds. Blah, 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 blah. Just flicking through here because this was a pretty decent match. Seth Rollins and that. I love that superplex, then immediately up into the Falcon Arrow or the sit out suplex. That's an awesome move. That's a really awesome move. And to take the superplex, because that hurts like fuck. That's gotta hurt like fuck for both guys. And then to just instantly get up and do that, you know, you get that's respect there. Show some respect to Seth Rollins for that, or anyone that does it. That's a great thing, great move. There's also, was it this one where he picked Cena up from in the powerbomb? I think it was where he had him like down like a jackknife, or just he had him like as if he'd just done a powerbomb and he was down there, but then he picked him up and then it did a powerbomb again or something, or did it into the turnbuckle, the buckle bomb or whatever you call it. Yeah, that was really impressive. It's like, bloody hell, Seth Rollins is really strong. Just sort of flicking through, see what we got going on. Rollins missed a frog splash at one point, and the fans were chanting Eddie for Eddie Guerrero. Yeah, the suplex thing that he did, he didn't actually do the sit out this time. He did it, but then he like landed on his stomach. But you know, still awesome. Cena goes for an A, but Rollins turns it into a roll up and then a power bomb. Ah, yeah, I think that was the moment. Cena hits a cross body, but then Rollins rolls through and goes for the AA, but Cena counters and slams Rollins on his face. Don't know what move he did there, can't remember. Cena goes to the top, hits the leg drop, and then hits the AA and wins, which I was like, ugh. I mean, after the last match where they had so many like false finishes with multiple finishers and stuff, it was kind of it was a good match. You know, it was a good match, but I felt, you know, after all the false finishes or whatever from the last match, I thought we would have gotten more of that, but still a good match. After the match, Cena celebrating and Rollins grabs his other title, the World Heavyweight Championship. Come on, show some respect, guy, whoever wrote this. But Cena cuts him off because Rollins was trying to leave, and they're talking trash, and Rollins is like, you don't disrespect me, boy, or I'm gonna bitch slap you with a fish. That was his exact words. And then Rollins is trying to go, and then Cena leaves him out and hits the AA on the outside, and then throws him in. And then his music hits, and then eventually the Stinger makes his way out. And this match, Seth Rollins defeated Sting, 40 minutes 52. A decent match. I thought it was going to end really quickly to start with, because Sting just sort of straight away went for the death lock and then the death drop. But Sting, yeah, I think he kicks out. He starts throwing him into the steps. Rollins grabs a monitor and tries to hit him, but then Sting sends him into the barrier. Yeah, Rollins is crawling over the announce table and trying to escape. Sting grabs him. The network feed cuts out and comes back to Rollins walking away with his title as fans boo. I didn't watch it on the network, and I never will, because the buffering and stuff that people complain about, and like that happening, is just stupid. People maybe think it's stupid for me to pay 20 quid to watch it on Sky Box Office, but no problems like that. You know, I see people, I've like had conversations with people and like, oh, what a waste of money, but then they complain about fucking buffering and shit. No problems with Sky Box Office. Quality over quantity. That's what I go for. But what happened was they ended up on like JBL on that table, and then Seth and Sting are there, and you hear Seth going, ready? And Sting's like, yeah! And then he pushes him into the other table, and it really messed up his arm. There was a massive bruise in his arm. He had some bruises on his back as well, but his arm was really quite badly bruised. And Rollins does a body slam onto the broken table. he was like trying to go away, but then Sting was getting back up and he came back again. Oh yeah, Rollins went for the powerbomb at the corner, and Sting wasn't quite up, and he's like, set up, and eventually he got him up. Like Seth had him up, like legs wise as far up, but it was Sting that had to actually sit up. I don't know if Sting was like legit hurt and a bit out of it here. I don't know. Seemed like it might have been just good selling, but I don't know. Sting blocks a pedigree and throws Rollins on the apron. Rollins goes for a springboard, but then Sting pushes him and he goes flying into the barricade, which was pretty crazy. Some clotheslines, a Stinger splash, another splash and sends Rollins out the ring. And Sting goes to the top rope and hits a freaking crossbody on Rollins, which got a holy shit chant. And a "you still got it" chant. Nails the death drop for a 2. Sting mounts Rollins with right hands in the corner. Rollins turns it into a buckle bomb. Sting comes at him, but Rollins kicks him in the kidney. No. What happened here was Rollins hit the buckle bomb, and you could hear Seth saying, "Clothesline me," and then Sting just keeled over or whatever. I don't know if that's maybe a Scottish word, but like bent over. And it looked like he was legit hurt. I don't know, like the way the referee was going about it, it looked legit. I don't know, and there was a trainer guy over looking at him. Rollins just starts showing off, his fans boo, and Sting eventually gets back to his feet. The trainer leaves, and here we go again. Rollins with a kick to the gut, goes to the pedigree. Because, oh yeah, what happened was he tried to, eventually after Sting fell over, he tried to throw him, and I think he said duck a clothesline or something. You could sort of hear Seth speaking a little bit, not quite to Cena level, but you could hear him a little bit, and then he just sort of like fell over and collapsed. But anyways, the trainer leaves, goes to the pedigree. He applies the deathlock, and it seemed like he might have just been selling it, because he just out of nowhere he became okay again. Rollins makes it to the bottom rope. Rollins drops Sting with an enziguri. Blocks the pedigree, goes for the deathlock again, but then he turns that around and rolls him up for the pin. 1, 2, 3, and I was pretty happy with that. I like at least Sting has gotten one win. He won on Raw, so it's not too bad. I was happy with Rollins winning here. It was good to see. But then after the match, it started getting pretty interesting as well, because Rollins grabs his title. We go to replays, and then Sheamus comes out. And respect the Hawk, people. It's sexy, okay? Sheamus comes out with the briefcase, hits a brogue on Seth Rollins. He's a way to cash in, but then Kane comes back, and not just corporate Kane, the Demon Kane. He's got his mask and everything. Comes out and choke slams Rollins. Then tombstones. Did that happen? I don't think that happened. Maybe it did. He hits a tombstone on Rollins, and then it says Sheamus comes back in, encourages Kane to hit another. But then Kane choke slams Sheamus. And then Kane hits another tombstone on Rollins and leaves him laying, and Kane's music hits, and Night of Champions goes off there with him laughing. I thought it was a pretty cool ending, because when Sheamus hit Rollins, I was like, oh no. But then fucking Kane goes back, and that was an awesome moment. That was really cool. I really enjoyed that. That was pretty cool. But overall, it wasn't a very good show. It wasn't. So all the matches apart from Cena, the Cena match, and the Sting Rollins match was pretty decent, but not to the level of the Cena match. And then after that, I would say the New Day match, just for the New Day antics, the stuff they get up to, the clapping and the tromboning. That's a word, tromboning. Apparently, what do you call it? what's his name? What's his name? Nikki Bella's going to be taking time off. Apparently, she wants to go on a bit of a less of a schedule. Apparently, she's injured or something. I don't really know. But I'm seeing here that bad news on Sting coming out of WWE. Let's see what this says. Sting reportedly suffered a legitimate injury in the Night of Champions main event against Seth Rollins. Sketchy so far. The injury was significant. Ooh. And they will return to the Toyota Center in Houston January 8th. Blah 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 blah. Well, maybe he did suffer a legit injury then. So are we maybe gonna get a Jericho and Ambrose feud? Like some people are like, oh my god, this is gonna be gold. This will be gold, and I'm like, don't get your hopes up. You know, WWE can disappoint you quite often. No point in getting your hopes up whatsoever. I learned that a long time ago. Jericho, they say they're not finished with the Wyatt family, so this thing's going to continue. And Ambrose called Jericho, what was it, like a glory hog or something like that? Something along those lines. So I don't know if they are actually going to continue. Dean Ambrose versus Jericho and Reigns versus Wyatt inside the cell. That's what somebody just commented. I doubt it. I don't think that'll happen. Not inside the cell. But yeah, tell me what you thought of the show. Didn't think I'd ramble this long since there wasn't much to talk about, but I have. I don't really have much more to say. Just sort of looking to see if there's any more news. Also, did you hear about Kurt Angle's brother getting charged with homicide after a domestic incident, it says. I read about it just before I watched Night of Champions. Like, holy shit. It's pretty gruesome, I guess. Like, the guy, he was having a fight or something with his wife, and oh my god, the guy, and somebody else commented, good god, he surfboarded her to death. It said that he grabbed both of her arms, put his foot on her chest, and then pulled. I was like, what the fuck? And she died, which was ridiculous. Because I commented, bloody hell, that's insane. It said the guy had like alcohol and anger issues or some shit. That's ridiculous, really ridiculous. But tell me what you thought of the show, what you think of the matches and what have you, because so many people hated SummerSlam, which I didn't understand. You know, it was such a good show, wrestling wise, you know. I guess some people don't really get how wrestling works, you know, with the heels and stuff. Like, even like smarks or whatever you want to call them, people who should know how wrestling works, and I see them complaining about it, and I'm like, that is how heels, you know, get over. And people were complaining about the whole Taker Lesnar ending and screwy endings like that, and these are the same people that love the Attitude Era, which was filled with this stuff. Almost every like main event match and other matches was filled with that stuff all the time, you know. But hypocrites, you know, ferrets. But I'm gonna end this here. I've rambled on long enough. But like I said, tell me your thoughts on the show. Maybe you enjoyed it. Maybe you thought the matches were really good. I don't know. Tell me in the comments. Yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe. Show that like button some love. And I'll see you in the next one. Also, my predictions video didn't do very well this time. Compared to the last few times, they've always been gotten ridiculous amount of views, like thousands. This one only has 291. Don't know what happened this time, but they were doing really well for a while, and even the review last time didn't do too well, because the review before, I think, was it not like 60,000? Or maybe that was the one before, and then that one was maybe like 30,000. I don't know how, but I don't know, I can't explain it. YouTube being a ferret. But yeah, maybe it'll do better this time. Who knows? But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.